All right, let's talk about it. This single hardest part of legal writing, the part that trips up almost everyone, the A in IRAC. Today, we are going to crack the code on analysis. We're going to turn it from your biggest headache into your absolute greatest strength.
So, why is it so tough? I mean, if you're a law student or a paralegal, you have definitely felt this. You can lay out the issue, no problem. You can find the rule. You can even write a conclusion. But the analysis? Ugh, that's where everything just seems to grind to a halt. It's a huge mental roadblock for so many people.
And there's a really good reason it feels so challenging. The analysis section isn't just the longest part of your answer. It's without a doubt the most important. This is the moment where you stop just reporting information and you actually become a legal thinker. It's where you apply the rule to the unique facts of your case.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Before we can even start to build a great analysis, we have to talk about the single biggest pitfall, the one thing you have to avoid at all costs.
And here it is. The number one mistake is making what's called a conclusory statement. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. You just jump straight to the finish line, the defendant is liable, without showing any of the reasoning that got you there. And that's a huge problem, because a conclusion without any backup, well, that's just not analysis.
Think of it this way. A weak conclusory statement is like a dead end. It just stops. Your reader is left wondering, okay, but how did you get there? A strong analysis, on the other hand, is like a bridge. It actively connects the rule on one side to the facts on the other, showing your reader the exact path to follow.
The easiest way to think about this is to flash back to math class. Remember? You never got full credit for just writing down x equals 5, right? Of course not. You had to show all the steps, the logic. Legal analysis is exactly the same concept. You've got to show your work to get the points.
So, how do we actually start showing our work in a really effective way? Well, it begins with a technique that might seem a little backwards at first. You have to argue both sides of the issue.
I know, this can feel weird. Your goal is to prove your point, so why on earth would you bring up arguments for the other side? Well, because a truly strong, persuasive analysis doesn't run and hide from weaknesses. It anticipates them, it addresses them head on. It shows your reader that you've thought through every single angle, and your conclusion is still the most logical one.
You should really think of your analysis like a stress test. For every single fact you use to support your argument, you need to actively look for a fact that could weaken it. When you find a case that looks perfect for your side, your very next question should be, okay, how would my opponent argue this case is different? That's how you show a deep, deep understanding.
And listen, this isn't just some helpful tip. It's a core requirement of good legal writing. The source material we're looking at today makes it crystal clear that it is especially essential to consider both sides. Doing this makes your own argument so much stronger because you're dismantling the counterarguments before they can even be made. That's what separates a basic analysis from a truly sophisticated one. Okay, so arguing both sides is pillar number one. The second pillar is all about mastering how to compare and contrast precedent cases. This is a game changer. Here is the crucial point. You can't just find a relevant case, drop the citation in your paper, and move on. The real magic, the real analysis, happens when you get granular. You have to dive deep into the facts of that other case and hold them up side by side with the facts of your own case. Your analysis lives and breathes in that detailed comparison. And here's the good news. There's a simple 5-step roadmap you can use for this every single time. 1, pull out the key facts in your problem. 2, do the exact same thing for a precedent case. Now, 3 and 4 are where the fire happens. Compare what's similar and contrast what's different. And then finally, step 5, based on that comparison, you make your prediction. Really, the entire logic of using precedent boils down to this one simple idea. Your job is to make one of two arguments. Either you argue the facts are so similar that the same outcome should apply, or you argue the facts are so different that the court has to reach a different outcome. That's the whole game. All right, let's bring this all home. We're going to combine these two powerful techniques, arguing both sides and comparing cases, to build that final, critical link that takes us all the way from the facts to a solid prediction. So let's just quickly recap the checklist for a killer analysis. First, always apply the rule directly to your specific facts. Never, ever stop at a simple conclusion. Always explore both sides of the issue. Use those precedent cases to compare and contrast. And ultimately, your goal is to build that strong, logical bridge that walks your reader from the facts, through your reasoning, all the way to your conclusion.
You can really think of your analysis as the engine of your entire argument. You feed in the raw materials, the rule, and the facts, and the analysis is this powerful machine that processes them and turns them into a polished, persuasive conclusion. Without that engine, the other parts of IRAC are just, well, they're just parts sitting on the floor, totally disconnected.
So here is the final and maybe most important shift in thinking. Your analysis section is not a treasure hunt for the one right answer. It's your opportunity to build the most persuasive, the most well-reasoned, and the most thoughtful argument possible. So the only question left is, how strong is your next one gonna be?